Basketball through time. That is the theme of my channel, as I often talk about the game's history and I even talk about the NBA's future. And we as the basketball community spend a lot of time making predictions and talking about where the game is headed. But every once in a while, you stumble upon something pretty cool from basketball's history that gives you a glimpse into what they thought about the NBA's future back then. That's what today's video is about. It was the 1987 to 1988 NBA season, and during 1988, the NBA was hosted by CBS. And during halftime of one of their broadcasts, they made a prediction about what the NBA would look like in 2020, which would be 32 years into the future. I could have sworn I saw this halftime report before on one of my dad's old VHS tapes. I did see a lot of the 1988 season, as I have the NBA All-Star Game and all of the NBA Finals on VHS. But I was recently reminded of this clip thanks to the YouTube channel Old School Basketball. That is a fantastic channel, and I'm telling you guys, if you love the history lessons you get on my channel, then I'm sure you'll love his as well. So go give him a sub and thank him for reminding us about this clip. So enough of my rambling, check out this lengthy clip so you can see what they predicted in 1988 that the NBA would look like in 2020.
Tonight, but let's project ahead towards still a different century, the year 2020. Pat O'Brien tells us what the NBA will be like.
And welcome to the CBS Sports Computer Center. You know, with all the talk lately about astrology and looking into the future, we kind of wondered what the future holds for the game of basketball. And so through modern technology, we programmed data first from the year 1956, the year many people believe was the birth of modern-day basketball. Then in went 1988. And then we asked the computer to project what the game of basketball will look like in the year 2020.
Welcome to the NBA 2020.
32 years down the road, and not surprisingly, the players will be bigger and stronger. The average height, 6'10". Guards will come in at 6'6". Forwards, just under 7 feet. And the men in the middle will all look like Mark Eaton at 7'3". Bigger, yes, but better?
It is projected that the scoring average will rise to 234 points per game. The field goal percentage will rise to 57%, but at the line they will still be under 80%.
Presumably there will be limits, and if human beings still have the limitations of trying to plop the ball in the basket from a distance, there's going to be a limit well before 100% in how far things can keep improving.
The new modern city game will definitely have a new look in the year 2020. For one, the court will change, the lanes will get wider, after all the players are, and to add some additional excitement, the three-point line now becomes a four-point line.
2, 1, aim for 4, it's good!
And oh yes, as you guessed, the hoop will go from 10 to 11 feet, and there will be a new stat, frequent flyer miles.
People are going to just be able to fly. Everybody would play above the rim. That's what I envision.
And what will get them off the ground? Fuel-injected sneakers of molded thermoplastic, and the uniform, temperature regulators, hang time extender bellows, and fatigue warning devices.
It's going to be real space technology stuff. The wide base, the stabilizer jets, shock absorption, foam flow. There'll be a new definition for hang time.
And a new definition for spending money. For openers, your program will cost $30. It'll feature audio and video. The average ticket price, $90, except in LA, where the floor seats will be over $1,000. And you one-year-olds, listen up. You can make some big bucks playing basketball, big bucks.
I guess it could be $25 million for a marginal player, and I can see a $100 million player. I don't know if the year 2020 is the year or the year 2030, but I don't think at that rate, no matter what the situation is, that you'll see very many long-term contracts at that price.
The National Basketball Association, NBA, will change to the International Basketball Association. And about this time of year in 2020, you'll see a very physical Eastern Conference.
Right now, the NBA champion is the world champion. Perhaps they'll lay claim to that title in the year 2020. The NBA champion will have to play the other best teams in the world.
And where will we be in the year 2020? Right where we always are.
And welcome back to At the Half, recapping our top stories. Larry Brown says there's no truth to the rumors that he is leaving Madrid to be the coach of the New York Knickerbockers. And all eyes on Tel Aviv tonight as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is set to score his 100,000th point. The 73-year-old center told me that this season will definitely be his last. That's it for us from the new Starship Enterprise. I'm Pat O'Brien. Thanks for joining us on the Prudential At the Half. Enjoy the second half here on CBS.
So there's a lot to tackle here, and it was really fun just to see what their idea of the future looked like back in the 1980s. They were incredibly off about the height of the players. In the 2019 to 2020 regular season, the average height of the general NBA player was 6 foot 6 inches tall. And in 1988, it was actually 6 foot 7 inches tall. So not only did players not get bigger, they actually got smaller, and a lot of that was probably due to a greater emphasis on spacing and perimeter shooting, which definitely favors the guards. To me, this is yet another classic example of how the bigger and stronger modern athlete's narrative is always greatly exaggerated. They exaggerate it now when talking about the current athletes, and they were even exaggerating it in 1988 when talking about future athletes. Ultimately, we haven't advanced in the last 30 to 40 years as much as some people would like you to think. As far as their scoring averages and efficiency predictions, well, those were also greatly exaggerated. In 2020, games were averaging 221.2 points per game. Field goal percentage was also wildly off, as they predicted it to climb to 57%, but it actually declined to 46%. This isn't all that surprising, since they probably didn't foresee the inflation of three-point shots, which naturally dropped field goal percentages across the board. But I will give them the fact that their predictions about free throw percentages was pretty close. They were incorrect about the foul lanes becoming wider, and although there is not a 4-point line just yet, the idea has been flirted with on multiple occasions. And for a while, some NBA team practice facilities actually had a 4-point line in preparation for its future installation. And then there's modern players like Steph Curry and Damian Lillard who are regularly burying shots from what could be a 4-point line distance. So although they were off about the prediction in 2020, it still could end up materializing down the road. Now the basketball rim hasn't been elevated to 11 feet, and I don't see that happening at any point in the future. Closest thing we had to that was Dwight Howard raising the rim during an NBA dunk contest. The predictions about the shoes and the uniforms were straight up goofy, and as of now, they're still just basic clothing even in the 2020s. Now the one area where they hilariously underestimated was in terms of the cash involved. They predicted NBA game tickets to be around $90, and as high as $1,000 for courtside seats, which honestly sounds like a steal in this current day. Player contracts were also comically off base, as they predicted a $100 million player as if it was this otherworldly number. But just several months ago, Jason Tatum signed a 5-year, $314 million contract. Also consider how they were making that $100 million prediction based on the prediction of longer contracts in their era, some contracts being as long as 10 seasons. So $314 million in 5 years is more like a $600 million prediction in 1988. The International Basketball Association prediction wasn't totally accurate, but there have been teams in Canada like the Toronto Raptors and once upon a time, the Vancouver Grizzlies. And the NBA has been regularly hosting games overseas to advertise their product. Still, that's not quite the same as battling teams in Russia in the regular season, which is what they predicted. By far, my favorite part of the video though was seeing them predict Kareem to score his 100,000th point at the age of 73. It's cool to see how they made longevity jokes about Kareem just like they do today about LeBron James. History really does repeat itself after all. So now you guys have seen CBS's prediction about what the NBA would look like in 2020, and although they were accurate about a few things, for the most part they were wildly off base, and made far too many assumptions about the advancement of the players. With that being said, the NBA has changed a lot in the last few decades, so that got me wondering, If we made NBA predictions about what the league would look like another 32 years into the future, what would they be? What do you think the NBA will look like in the 2055 to 2056 season? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.